These days I was playing my game in single player mode, just exploring around the map and checking if everything was working as it should. Until I came across this enemy here, and it killed me. And that was it. I was stuck there just waiting. There were no other player in my game, so there was no one to revive me. All that was left was for me to stand there in all fours. Today I'm gonna fix this issue by adding this combat turret dog. This good boy here has a huge Gatling turret on its back and it's going to shoot any enemy around it. First I went hunting for a good base model for the dog in the marketplace, something to build on top of. I then imported the model into Blender and created a harness for it. My idea was to make something similar to that dog from WoW that's like a helper dog with a huge can of beer on its neck. On my case, it's going to be a first aid kit instead of beer. Now for the automatic turret, I started modeling something inspired on the turret I already have on the game, but with two large rotating barrels so it shoots a lot faster. The idea here is that this dog is going to be like a second player following you all the time to provide support, so it should be stronger than just one turret. After all of this was done, I made a couple of animations of the turret shooting from each side, and I'd handle that in the animation logic. Now inside of Unreal, I created a separate actor just for this turret. This actor is going to be controlled by one AI while the dog will be controlled by another. Imagine if like Nunu from League of Legends was controlled by two players. One of them can control movement while the other chooses targets. Or a better example would be Cho'Gall from Heroes of the Storm, but I'd rather not remember HOTS, it's still too sad. And it's basically this, but instead of two players it's two AIs. The turret only has to worry about shooting at enemies that get within range, and nothing more than that. So I made an AI for this turret that uses the same logic from the one that's already in the game. As for the animations, I made a logic that alternates between right and left arm each time the turret shoots. Not only that, but the way I blend these will make it so each arm works independently from each other. So when it shoots, it is not going to break the animation. Now to move the head of this turret to focus on enemies, I made a procedural animation setup, where I feed an angle to this turret and it turns to look at it pretty much. And using this procedural animation setup, I also add rotations, so it looks from one side to the other in case it has no targets. Now for the dog itself, I have done an entirely new AI with tasks like following the player or entering combat. During combat, I made a logic so it keeps a certain distance from the enemy, and in case the enemy is chasing him, he's going to run away while the turret shoots. And if the enemy gets too far away, he's going to readjust the distance as well, always keeping the turret in range. But this combat mode is cancelled if the player is too far away. So if the dog starts combat with enemies near you and you leave this area, the dog is going to prioritize staying near you. Another task for the dog is to revive the player when they fall. So if an enemy knocks you out, you can be revived by the dog as many times as you need. In my game, you don't lose when you fall, you only lose when your base at the center is destroyed. And falling incapacitated for a time is already bad enough. Losing 10 or even 20 seconds could very well make it so you cannot prepare good defenses or get enough resources in time. If you fall and there are enemies around you, the dog is going to wait for them to die to revive you. This is so we can avoid being stuck on a loop of the dog reviving you and the enemy knocking you out. That would be torture on the level of that guy from God of War 2 that stole fire. One thing I can say for sure though, before I felt like my game was only fun when playing with other people and that single player felt a little bit meh. But now with this dog, I can safely say it is a lot more fun to play single player than it was before. Also, this dog is already in the game and you can meet him yourself. When you open the game, he'll show at random points in the scene. But if you have more players on the room, he's gonna vanish. You can't really pet him as of now, but I'm going to add an emote for that in the future. And that's it for now. See ya.